Somehow I've returned, but the attempt on my life has left me scarred and deformed. But I assure you, my resolve has never been stronger. In order to ensure quality and continued stability, this channel will be reorganized into the first galactic YouTube channel for enjoyable and watchable content. Hello everybody, my name is YujimboXD and welcome to the channel. And let's just say it's been a minute since I've uploaded, but a mod that I very much enjoyed last time I played just received a major update of the Mandalorian variety. Yes, this is Project Valachord, or aka the Star Wars A New Hope mod for Hearts of Iron 4. And as I mentioned before, we have looked at this once before on the channel, so I think today we should look at the new content that they added. In this case, it seems to be all the Mandalorian factions, plus a few other surprises thrown in there as well. And while usually I'd pick the top row, as those are normally the recommended ones, and who doesn't want to play what I think is Ryan Gosling, but we're going to choose one of the more minor factions, and somebody who some of you might recognize. Yes, it's good old Bo Staff Katana, or aka Princess Mandalorian. That technically make her a Disney princess now? I'm not sure, but she was on TV, so that makes her cool enough for me to play today. So when we take a quick look at the map, this is pretty much what we saw last time. They may have added a few new planets here and there. I didn't really check, but this is the area we're going to focus on here, the Mandalore sector, home to some of the most fierce warriors in the galaxy. So we're going to leave Iron Man mode off and we're going to leave historical on because I want things to be a little bit more predictable and not blow up faster than Alderaan. So I think we're ready. Are you ready, Editor Jordy with a J? Alright, so here we are on Kalevala, one of the planets in the Mandalore sector. We really don't got much going on to start, but hopefully we can turn things around pretty quickly. Let's take a look at the focus tree. It starts off pretty small now, but I know once we finish this focus, it will open up into the much larger shared tree that a lot of the Mandalorian factions share, which we'll see later. But let's just start with our first focus that gives us political power. We're gonna need it later for a thing. Well, it's more like several things, but I'll explain it as we go. So we did look at the tech tree last time we played this mod, but it does look like, at least for the Mandalorians, they have their own flavor of technology. But it looks like they did go with the Disney naming for the fire spray. You know, back in my day, we used to name our ships after unemancipated humans, and we liked it that way. Now, ordinarily, I would rush down the political side of my focus tree to kickstart the wars as soon as possible, because speed is key, as always, in Hearts of Iron. But I think for this run, we need to slow it down just a smidge, just to make sure we're ready before the big wars start. So, this is one of the new mechanics with pretty much all the Mandalorian factions. We have to secure our legitimacy and become a recognized great house. And we do that by showing off all of our cool toys. And let's start off by showing them our fleet. Oh, that's right, we don't have a fleet. Oh, well, nothing a little bit of money won't solve. So what that focus basically does is it gives us an extra decision to hire random assortments of ships. And we're gonna need those ships to spread the good word to the other Mandalorians. The only downside of it is it's kind of expensive in terms of political point costs. And between needing to hire advisors and hurling it into the legitimacy pit, you really do have to manage it wisely. Well, I did finally squirrel enough political power away to get all my military advisors hired, or at least the ones that give me the military XP, so I can then turn around and dump it into legitimacy. It's all a cycle, it just rhymes. So currently we're just sitting here waiting for all the Mandalorians to show up after we put out the call that we're going to make Mandalore great again, and our army has basically quadrupled overnight. But what if we added some Jedi spice to the mix? We can get our own pet Jedi, and we can start looking for the darksaber. Hopefully we won't have to fight any very handsome men for it. Okay, I have boosted our recognition to clan level now, and what that means is it unlocks this really nice focus. So we're just gonna bank our political power and wait to do that. I could start looking for the darksaber, but I'm kind of waiting for that because you don't get the decision to actually look for it until you reach around house level. So I'm waiting to do that first. That happened way sooner than I thought it was going to. I seem to be at war with everyone now. I was hoping to have another 2 years to get ready for this, but I guess we're doing it live. Well, I sort of have a navy and I guess people are in position. This is either going to be a very good thing or this is going to be a hard reset. Well, let's just see what happens then, I guess. I got a two-prong invasion going in, even in an area that doesn't have a port. My idea is that I snatch up their victory points and they capitulate immediately. Just do some force attack to make the landings, hopefully. It's a risky play, but as long as they don't pin me down, I'll be fine. There we go, got it. Okay, not bad. Only have to do that like 4 more times. So with each planet we capture in this sector, we do get a nice manpower and equipment bonus. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna need every shred of it right now. So admittedly, I haven't played Hoy in a while, so I don't know if they've revamped the Navy stuff, but I can't seem to get naval supremacy supremacy by just putting them in patrol, but if I just put them in strike force, which means they just sit in port waiting to attack something once they find a target, and somehow by doing that, that gives us naval supremacy to pull off an invasion. Is it a bug or an intended feature? I don't know, but I'm going to use it anyways. All right, force attack. Let's get those landings in there. We're going for another double-pronged invasion. And just like that, a second planet is down, and we get some more toys. Oh, also each time I pick off one of these planets, I get their fleet as well, which is really helping the snowball effect here. We are still trying to pump up our legitimacy, but I'm only sticking to the one that spends Air Force XP. I'm actually using the Naval XP to buy Special Forces upgrades for once, and since I'm using almost entirely Marines as my main strike force, pumping them up will be a very good idea. Well, we finally hit house legitimacy, and now the warriors are flocking to us with their best Sunday Beskar armor. Not sure what that does in a practical sense, but looking cool is always important. All right, next, I think we're gonna reach across Mandalore and smack down Crow Nest. So we have our invasion set up and what I'm gonna start calling the Horns of the Mandalorian, and let's see how it goes. They're struggling to make the landing in the south, but that's why we go in 2 different places. And just like that, they capitulate. Not bad, but I think the big boy is next, just because it would just be too annoying to reach Death Watch right now. Hey, what happened to Ryan Gosling? You killed Ken, you bastards! Well, for this next invasion, I think I am just going to have to stick with the classic Doom stack. The planet is a little bit too big to hit with the horns, and since I can't create a spy agency yet, I have no friggin' clue how many divisions they have. So now we have a choice in our decision tree. We can go isolationist, which give us just defense bonuses, or if you're like most sane people and want insane buffs to actually have a fun game where you just plow through everyone, I recommend favor repaid. Okay, I don't see they have a navy out, so let's see how this goes. Let's do it for Ken. Woo, that was nutso. It took a second to get on there. It kept popping up the Navy interception screen. I thought they were all about to get killed, but that didn't happen. I am going to have to start bringing reinforcements over. 10 divisions is not going to cut it over here. But while we're waiting, maybe we can pin some divisions and wipe out some of their divisions right now, because I have a funny feeling they have way more divisions than I do, so I'm just going to have to keep pulling off encirclements. Can I get up these mountain tiles? I do have a cunning plan. All right, I made it up the mountain. And if you will observe, they have very little supply on that side of the mountain. So I think encircling them might be rather trivial. There we go, there's 4 units encircled. Now if you're saying, is your cunning plan just to encircle them? Yes, but there's a caveat to that, and I'll show you that here in a moment. Let me just clean up this pocket. Great, now that that's done, I'm going to need all of you to retreat. Good work, everyone. Time to return to our mountain homes. We're just gonna LARP as some dwarfs for a bit. Now watch in amazement as the AI walks back into the same desert they had no supply in. Yeah, fill up the line, go ahead. There, everybody look cozy and comfortable? Great, now let's do that same thing we just did again. And there we go, there's another 6 units encircled. I think at this point you can figure out what I'm doing. Right, now that that pocket's cleaned up, back to the mountain home. I mean, I hope at this point you understand my tactic, because the AI surely doesn't. That's why when people tell me that they're afraid the AI is going to take over the future, I just think of this crap, and I sleep a lot easier. They don't seem to be backfilling that line anymore. I think they know what's up. That or I'm just running them out of divisions. So I think we'll just have to go back to the classic encirclements, which, you know what? Any encirclement's a good encirclement in my book. So yeah, now it looks like I brought down their divisions to the point where they're now less than mine, and I got a good 10-to-1 KDR rolling. So let's just keep up the momentum, and I think this will be over soon. All right, I think it's time for a general offensive. I can see... Yep. Didn't even get to finish that thought, actually. Well, that's big Mandalore down. On to the Death Watch. Okay, now we've raised our legitimacy to Great House, which means we can actually start looking for the darksaber. So I guess we'll just have to go get it off Darth Maul. But that's okay, I'm not too intimidated by him. He's only half the man he used to be. Okay, on to Concordia, and I can actually use my Air Force for once. Well, made our landing in the north, and there they go. Well, that war started and ended a lot quicker than I expected. I haven't even hit max legitimacy, so I'm kind of just waiting to do that before I can finish my focus tree. But hey, while we're waiting around, I guess we can finally get around to building a spy agency now that we have enough factories. So why don't we name it after the best damn spy master in the galaxy, Luthen Rail. I would gladly let that man dispose of my dead body after I've served up my usefulness. All right, we have enough political power since we haven't been doing our focus tree to go after the darksaber. Sorry, Maul, you can't have that. That belongs in a museum. Thank Ferric. Maybe you can have it. Nah, we just gotta wait a bit until we get enough political power to try again. It's a bit luck-based from my experience. There we go, second time's a charm. Those are some really nice bonuses. Not that I needed them, but I'll take them anyways. All right, we got the planets, we got the sword, and now we got the title. look out, we got a new Mandalore over here, which essentially just cored everything we just took, and that doubled our manpower and factories. Hopefully the Emperor doesn't wake up from his nap and realize what a threat we are. All right, with Mandalore reunited, we can finish our focus tree and move on to the next focus tree. That's right, there's still plenty of game left to be had. All right, and as promised, here is the new focus tree, which essentially has 3 branching paths based on which faction you're playing and which decisions you made in that faction. And I did notice the middle path has Boba Fett as a country leader option, and trust me, I looked for a while for him in this mod and I could not find him, so I don't know how you actually get him as a leader. So we'll just have to imagine what could have been instead. So we finally finished the focus that will allow us to declare wars. So I think it's time to begin the great Mandalorian Crusades. And first up, I think we're gonna go pay Darth Maul a visit. I took your darksaber, now I'm gonna take your planet. All right, our justification on Crimson Dawn is done, which is good because I need the political points for other projects. And I have a pretty decent Air Force and Navy at this point, so this should be a cakewalk. Huh, and I guess the rebels saw us fighting the Sith and decided to invite us to their faction. Sure, why not? I've got some ambitious plans. But first, let's finish up over here. Well, I have all their victory points, but I guess Maul is encouraging them to fight to the death. Okay, they're all dead now? Oh, okay, there it goes. One Sith Lord down, and for some reason I don't have enough war score to steal their navy. Well, that's annoying. Well, after such a great job we did, it looks like the Rebel Alliance is asking us to join in their great struggle, which I will, but I just want to get into position first. Okay, it looks like the rebels are on the move a lot quicker than I expected. I think it's time that we get in on this action. I'm feeling greedy, so I'm going to go for 2 planets at once. And look, we're landing on Akiva unopposed, and it looks like they only have 1 undermanned stormtrooper division over here. And while we're busy conquering 2 planets, why don't we add a 3rd one as a puppet? We'll get Yinchor on our side, and that way our home planet will be pretty much surrounded by our territory at that point. It'll give us a nice power base to move from. All right, I set up another double invasion because I don't want the rebels to have all the fun. And also I'd like to move on to Coruscant before they do. Man, I remember last time I played this how much I struggled to get landings on planets. So I don't know if it's just that Mandalorians are better at this or they've changed the mod, but this is going way easier than last time. And just like that, 2 more planets down. All right, I think we should turn our attention back to the core. I don't think the Imperials have anything immediately around us anymore that can threaten us. Well, I'm about to invade Coruscant, but my rebel allies over here haven't even finished cleaning up this pocket over here. Let me show you how we do things on Mandalore. There you go. Bet you're real happy we joined you now, aren't you? At this point, nothing can seem to stop the Mandalorian tide. 10 divisions seems to be all you need to bring down the Empire. And we landed on Coruscant. And what happens if we just set everyone to aggressive? I could try and go for encirclements, but they're just retreating too quickly. Just gotta grab this last little pocket down here in the center. All right, that's all of Coruscant. Where's the Emperor? Where's the Vader? I'm not sure. Oh, hey, look, they actually tried to take Coruscant back. Too bad you literally landed next to my best troops. All right, back to invading 2 planets at once. You're on Mandalore's time now. Oh, wow, we're actually struggling to make the landing over here. Maybe they actually have some troops, because they're definitely not over here. Well, we took the 1 planet, but they held us off at the other one. What are you hiding over here? Must be good. All right, let's try this again. I have stolen their cipher, and I've beefed up my divisions a little bit. And I'm sending everyone, so hopefully this makes the difference. Yes, that went much easier. Well, that's an Axis down. I don't think it'll be much longer for them. They're already halfway to capitulating. We got 2 more invasions set up, and it looks like our rebel allies are making some progress on Kuat. And it looks like both of these planets were pretty much undefended. It's like the Imperials are more concerned about fighting the rebels, and not the Mandalorians who just took their capital. Well, I was gonna go for another double invasion, but I need both my fleets over Fondor to get naval supremacy. So let me just grab this little rock right here, and I'll turn around and go back to the important planets. All right, the gang's all back together, on to Fondor. And then maybe I'll consider helping my allies in other places. Well, that's interesting. The Battle of Yavin still took place. So goodbye, Death Star. Glad the Imperials ignored all this stuff and just went straight for Yavin. They really do seem to hate the rebels a lot more than they hate me. Please notice me, Emperor Senpai. Well, I guess I don't have to help my allies out elsewhere, because once I took Fondor, the whole house of cards came tumbling down. Well, I'm just going to try to grab all the stuff in my immediate vicinity, plus Coruscant, of course. Well, I got pretty much everything I wanted, plus half the Imperial Navy. Don't know why they weren't using it against us, but okay. Well, that's the Galactic Civil War over. I think the New Republic is looking weird these days, but you know what? I think we'll run the things a little bit better than they would anyways. So yeah, that was Project Valachord, the Mandalorian update. And boy, am I glad I came back to play this. This was a ton of fun. I highly recommend this mod, and I can't wait to see what they do with it again in the future. So if there are any other mods or suggestions you'd like to see, let me know down in the comments below, or you can always join our community Discord and let me know what you'd like to see. It's really the best way to motivate me. All right, have a good night, everyone.
And make sure you hit that subscribe button.
This is just a t-shirt.